This is The Dig on the Huskers Radio Network podcast. Powered by Emeritus. Featuring Nebraska Volleyball Director of Operations, Lindsay Peterson. Here's your host, Jessica Coody.
Welcome back into another episode of The Dig. We're excited to welcome back Lindsay Peterson. Thanks for being here with us.
Great to be back and talk some Husker volleyball.
Yeah, a couple of sweeps and first Big Ten road trip at Illinois, then Iowa at home, but got to be pretty pleased with the two performances over the week.
Yeah, it was a good week. The team really showed some resilience. Illinois is a tough place to play. It's a older building. The fans are, they pack it. It's really warm in that building, and we know that they can be a tough team. Having Chris on the other side, he knows how we prepare as well. So our team coming out and playing well on the road, our first Big Ten road match. We hadn't really played in a situation where you're in front of a home student section and a big crowd like we faced at Illinois. So the response from our team was very positive, and it gave them some confidence here as we're starting to get into Big Ten season, and we're going to face that more often now.
And Coach Cook seemed really, really happy with how the Huskers came out on Sunday and responded. They seemed ready to play.
Yeah, I think, it was a little nervous. Our practice on Saturday probably wasn't the cleanest, and anytime you come off of a road match and a win and, you're looking ahead to your next opponent. We've played so many opponents that are rated, top 10, and then you see you're playing an opponent that's not ranked, and you're afraid that your team might let up a little bit or become complacent. And I think he was really satisfied that we still played Nebraska volleyball. We took care of what we take care of on our side of the net and held ourselves to our standard. And that was something that has been a goal of this team and a focus of this team, is we need to always play Nebraska volleyball no matter the opponent on the other side, because that is our strength. And so for our team to come out, and it's a Sunday afternoon, the schedule was off a little bit, and to come out and play that well on a Sunday, I think he was very happy.
Well, no Andi Jackson over those two wins. For a lot of teams, they might panic. What are we going to do without Andi? But in steps Leyla Blackwell. How big was she for you guys over these last couple of matches?
Leyla was phenomenal the last few matches, and it's not to any surprise. I mean, Leyla's a super talented middle blocker. She's very experienced. She's a fifth-year player. And one thing that's so great about Leyla, though, is she is a student of the game constantly. And so the matches she hadn't been playing up to this point, she was on the sideline and constantly giving feedback to her fellow teammates and her fellow middle blockers and helping them. And she, was ready to go. And you see her in practice doing the same thing, always trying to raise the bar to get better. So we had no doubts that she would come in and fill that void and do a great job. And you could see that Bergen was really comfortable setting her. And a lot of that goes to Leyla and how well she communicates. She makes herself available, and when she's set the ball, if there's a block in front of her, she knows what to do to, still make a play out of it. And so, there was no letdown for, to bring somebody else in. And that's something I would speak for our whole team about. We've had the opportunity to play several players in some of these matches, and that's a strength of ours, because, sometimes when you get nervous as a coach to make those substitutions because you're afraid it might disrupt the rhythm, and our team has continued on that same trajectory, and the level has not dropped at all. They haven't lost focus, and I think that just speaks to the talent on our team and the experience and depth that we have, and how that can be a real positive for us as we continue on through this Big Ten season, because especially with playing back-to-back nights, I mean, you're going to have to rely on your bench because you're going to have some real battles, and it's going to test some players. And so to know that we have confidence in our bench is a big thing for us.
Leyla seems like such a sweet person, such a nice person. She seems to be really, really liked. So besides just what she's brought on the court, what has she brought to this program even off the court?
Well, I think it's a type of leadership that, you see she's come from somewhere else. So she's been somewhere else, and she comes and sees what this program's about, and it's brought so much appreciation, and she's so grateful. And for our players to hear that from somebody who has experienced something else, and now they're here, and to say, I can't be more excited or more grateful for having this opportunity, and to be with a team that does X, Y, Z, and a team that fights this hard and competes this hard in practice and has these high goals. And if you've never been anywhere but Nebraska, sometimes you can take that for granted or think it's, not a plus or something to be grateful for. And so to have that constantly, where she makes the most of every opportunity and is truly grateful for each day she has, and in our program, really affects all of our team. And So she's just, like I said, she's a great student of the game. She has a very high volleyball IQ. She's really well liked on the team, and so everyone listens. When she speaks, her voice carries a lot of weight. And I think that says something to somebody who hasn't been a part of the program to come in and be able to step in and have that much value in her voice. It says a lot to her, speaks to her character and the type of person she is.
That's great. You know, it wasn't just Leyla. Rebekah Allick also had a big day, and Coach came on and said, Lauren's got to be happy that we really got the middles involved. 18 kills, just 2 errors for the middles. How much of that was an emphasis going into that, wanting to make sure that both middles were really heavily involved?
Yeah, the challenge was on the table for Bergen and the middles. Like, we've got to become more balanced. Our middles need to be more of a threat. Obviously, that comes back to our passers. Our passers have to pass well for that to happen, and our passers did a great job yesterday. Bergen was in system. She had the opportunity to run the middles. So it's kind of a full circle thing. Like, when you're challenged to be middle dominant offense, then that falls back on the passers, it falls back on ball handling. So everybody has to work hard. Well, you know, if you're an outside dominant team, you don't have to really work that hard on passing. You can be okay passing it on the 10, 12-foot line and know you're still going to run your offense from there because it runs through your outsides. And that's not the type of team we want to be. And you saw that yesterday, how good our middles can be when we get them in action. And that just puts a ton of stress on our opponents when they know that they have to always be ready for our middle and they can't start cheating to our pen attackers. And so, you know, it was just a team effort full circle for that, for our middles to have such a big day. And I know they understand that as well, and they were super appreciative and gave credit to our passers and to Bergen as well for finding them and being comfortable constantly getting them the ball.
So against Illinois, you had 5 service aces, 1 error, and then against Iowa, 7 aces, 1 error. And I believe that's the first time you had 7 and 1 since like 2017. What went into the serving and then the passing on the receive game over these last couple of matches?
Well, you know, we've really talked about serving such a key. Serving pass is always such a key, but serving is confidence. You know, you go back there and it's just you and the ball and it's your opportunity. And so we work a lot on it, but our players have really embraced it and done a nice job of getting back there and, you know, being comfortable, and coaches, you know, giving them where to serve, but also saying, do what you feel, you know, letting them take a little bit of ownership and responsibility to know they're the ones getting ready to serve it in. So if they don't feel comfortable with the call that he's given them, to know that we want a tough serve. And so they're really driving the ball. They're doing a great job back there of taking ownership of when they get to the service line, trying to make a run for our team. And then, you know, that comes back into, if you start making a run, the confidence overflows to other areas. And you can see how our serving can impact the opponents. I mean, if we're constantly putting pressure on them from the service line, it really disrupts the rhythm of their offense. They, you know, lack confidence back there, while we continue to build confidence, because if you're confident from the service line, that's going to also affect you in all other areas of the match, in the game. So
how do you guys go about figuring out which people you wanted to send in as a serve specialist? And is it throughout the week? Is it the matchup? Is it a certain situation? Because we've seen a lot of different players that you guys can rely on to come back there and do that role for you guys.
Yeah, it's through practice that they earn that. Sometimes it's, if somebody is struggling serving, we know we have some great servers on the bench, and we talk about game changers on our bench. So having the opportunity when your name's called to go in there, and sometimes it is to go in and really stick a serve and try to make an impact from the service line. So like I said, we really stress serving in practice. We spend a lot of time on it. We, you know, are training it constantly. And so our team understands the importance of that. And then to know that when they have the opportunity, they can really do something to impact our team if they get subbed in to serve. And so, yeah, we have a lot of depth in that area as well, which is also another strength, because, you know, if the normal rotation's not working that day, we can put somebody in there that can still stress our opponent.
Coach also talked about, you know, with Merritt playing the all 6 rotations, I think it was yesterday, and that was something that you guys are going to want to go to at some point this season. You need to continue to develop that back row attack. So how also does it work when you guys are deciding when you want more defense back there, or when you want more of the attacking and the offense with Merritt?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you look at how are we siding out. So if we get stuck in a rotation where Laney has been subbing in for Merritt in back row. And that's the case, we tend to have 3 littles back there, and there's not a lot of offense coming out of the back row, and you have Bergen front row at that time. So in order to stress your opponent, put more pressure on them, and offensively, you have to have a back row attack. So we know we need to continue to develop that because it just makes us that much more difficult to prepare for. But on the other hand, if we're passing really well and able to side out with just 2 hitters because we're passing real well and they're getting in a rhythm, then we may not need that. And it gives Merritt an opportunity to come out, catch your breath, reset, and then come back in for another round across the front. So it's just another key to our offense and another piece of our offense that we want to know we have in our back pocket and our team is comfortable with and we have a rhythm with. And so continuing to let that play out in matches to develop that and is a key because we know as we continue on through the season, you have to have a back row attack to be able to move where we want to go for what our goals are.
When you guys talk about the depth and having people that you can call on to come into the game and impact the game, Coach is also talking about how we don't expect players to have their best night every single night. You're going to have off nights. It's just the reality of what it is. But how do you guys as a staff go about letting someone maybe work through it when they're just not starting off right and then making that call to go to the bench to see if someone else can provide a spark?
Well, I mean, as we all know, volleyball is a game of errors. So that's where we know it's not going to be a perfect night. But a lot of that relies on, coach and how he's feeling and what we see. We want somebody to have the confidence to work through it. We don't want them to be afraid to make a mistake. We train to go and make big plays and knowing that you may not make it every time. We don't want you to play in fear for you're going to get pulled if you do make a mistake. So there is a fine balance there if you want to give them an opportunity to work through it. But then there's also a point where you feel like your offense is maybe suffering or you're letting the defense, predict what we're going to do because we're not able to score in those areas. And then that's when a change needs to be made. And sometimes it's just, hey, you need to just reset, take a deep breath, you're fine. We're just going to change things up here. It's a different look. And sometimes that different look is just enough to throw the other team off. They maybe haven't prepared for that attacker and those tendencies or what type of attacker they are. And so that's enough just to throw them off and get us back in a rhythm and then give that player an opportunity to come back in and restart. Yeah.
One of the players that I have not asked about here on the podcast yet is Olivia Mauch and the freshman and the role that she's provided. I know Coach had said back in the spring that she was really impressive and then throughout preseason, but what has she done to earn her spot that you guys have to put her out there in those certain situations?
Liv is just consistent. I mean, she is a rock. She has ice in her veins. You don't know if she's played the worst match of her career or the best match of her career. She has the same expression. She goes about it the same. She's all business. I think she provides a ton of comfort and stability back there with her teammates because she is so consistent. They trust her. And, that's something, for a freshman, that's a lot to come in and not show any nerves. You would think she's a veteran player the way she plays. And that just speaks to her confidence in her abilities, but also how she's adjusted with this team and where she feels like she is with this team. And, Liv is an extremely talented passer. She's a great passer. She ranks up in the top in the Big Ten right now. And people serve her because she's a freshman and they're trying to get the ball off Lexi. And I think they're seeing that right now our passers are doing such a great job. Really, it's hard to pick out where do we serve. And that's something that can wear on a team as well. Like we're seeing a ton of errors, service errors by our opponents. And I think they just come in with the mentality is we've got to serve great because you have passers like Olivia, Lexi, Laney, Harper back there all the time. And you got to do something to try to get Nebraska out of rhythm. And so let's go back and serve as hard as we can to try to stress them. And then you see the accumulation of errors because of that. And so, Liv has really been, like I said, consistent. She takes coaching. You don't know, like I said, if it's her best match or worst match. And she's just so consistent and so positive with her teammates out there that it's been really great to see. And the impact you can see she's made on our backcourt has been immediate.
And just sometimes, we talked about this with Laney Choboy, obviously, and Lexi over the last few years, but she's just made some incredible plays that seem to just give you guys some incredible momentum.
Yeah, and it's so funny because she'll make this great dig or she'll come up with this incredible cover or pass nails on a tough serve, and she still has the same look on her face. Like, you can go ahead and celebrate, like you can cheer, but she's just so level-headed, and that's just her character. I mean, that's how she is on the court, off the court. She's just a really special kid, and to be a hometown kid or home state kid and come in and be able to make an impact as a freshman like that, and to, you would think that there would be a lot of nerves, having grown up in Nebraska, knowing what Nebraska volleyball is all about, and then having that opportunity, and she's really embraced it and just played marvelously. She's really been great to watch.
So Coach was also talking too about how you guys did this drill where you involved trying to get this. You set the middles no matter what the pass. I think it was like either a medium pass or what
medium system ball.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. So when you kind of go about game planning a practice and what you want to do to implement into a game, I guess, how do you guys as a staff figure out how you want to stack those practices and do those kinds of drills, and then obviously it pays off when you go into a match?
Yeah, I mean, Coach structures practice a lot based off of what he's seen from our previous match on our side of the net, and then they also work on what we're going to see on the other side of the net. So we focus, some days our focus is us. How are we getting better? What areas do we need to get better? Are we struggling in, we said, middle attack? We need to produce more offense out of the middle. So that was a focus in running that drill and finding ways to score even if the pass isn't perfect. And so it's always watching film on us to find how are we getting 2 points better every week that we're in the gym and every opportunity where we have a chance to be on the court. And then it's also structuring it to help us prepare for what are we going to face that week. So, whether it's an outside dominant team, or are we working on our out-of-system block more that week to help prepare for us to face some big outside hitters or pen hitters. And so it is a week to week, but Coach is also very much a routine in his training practices and how we go about the week based off this week. This day is more going to be focused on serve, pass, ball control, first contact, and our side of the net. And then these days are going to be working on defense. How are we siding out against teams, and how are we preparing to stop the teams we're going to be facing?
So when he sees that that's something that needs to be addressed, how does he go about finding that drill? I mean, he's talked, I know, about a lot of his journal, but there's so many drills. I know he's done so much. So how does he figure out which drill is going to be able to help this team the most in certain practices?
Well, I think it's a collaboration of all the coaches, picking Jordan's mind to see, is there something they did on the national team that would help really focus on this one aspect of the game? Is there, does Jalen or Kelly remember something they've done or they've seen through going to other people's gyms and watching and, being with the national team players as well? And so, and then, yes, Coach has a long list of drills, and he's done this for so long that he can look back and see in his, practice plans from the past, what did we do back in 2017 when he knows the personnel on that team, and we needed to become a better, line attacking team or whatever it was. And so he'll look back into that and see what those practices look like and implement those drills. So I would say it's a combination of all that. And when you have the type of coaches we have on staff and just the volleyball IQ and experience, a lot of it comes out pretty easy. It's not like we're trying to try to find a needle in a haystack to find the answer. They have it, and that's what we're really fortunate about, to have such an incredibly talented staff.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, Virginia Stair gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, and she's incredible to listen to just about, when the teams that she was on in the 80s, they were putting the court together themselves and just how much the fan base grew. But she was honored, I believe, was it yesterday at the game. You guys do such a good job of embracing the alumni and understanding, the foundation that was laid for you guys to be where you are. Just why is that so important? Why is that something that you guys continue to focus on despite just the longevity of success?
Well, I think it's always important to know where the program started and how far it's come. And so you can see that the people that came before haven't always had the luxuries, the fans, the charters, the whatever, that our players are getting now. But yet they felt like their experience was the best experience. And I think that's important for our players to understand that Nebraska volleyball has been Nebraska volleyball for a long time. And the tradition of excellence, the high standards, the culture that we've established isn't something that happened overnight. And for them to see what came from the past and to speak to those alumni and understand that, one, yes, there are some differences, but two, they were in the exact same shoes, 10, 15, 20 years ago, depending on the player you talk to, and they can share similar stories and experiences, and it really isn't that much difference. Some of the outside things, yes, have changed, and some of the luxuries, and we know how college athletics is going now as well, but the main foundation in Nebraska Volley has been the same for a long time. And I think it's important for our team to understand that and hear that from our alumni and see that, they're supporting us and rooting for us and everything. But for our players to understand what they're doing now matters for Nebraska volleyball in 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that just happened overnight. And you always got to be grateful for those that, like you said, laid the foundation and helped develop this, because we all, for a program to continue this type of success, it's not something that comes easy and you can just rest on your laurels. You have to continue to invest and develop that culture and really work to continue to build that tradition. And that's always been important, and coaches always stress that. And I think that's a key for why our players really embrace the alumni and why we put so much importance on bringing somebody back, trying to honor alumni, getting a jersey retired, whatever it may be, to show how much we appreciate those that came before.
Great stuff there. Okay, let's talk about this week. And you got a big one coming up on Friday night inside Devaney, number 10 Purdue. So looking at probably another top 10 matchup. Here's one of those ranked teams coming in. What have you guys seen out of Purdue? What are kind of going to be the keys against the Boilermakers there?
Yeah, typical Purdue. We know they have two great outside hitters that they really rely on a lot. Their offense goes to that. Really dominant, physical middle. They're a good serving team. I think in one of their matches last week, they ended up with 12 or 13 service aces. So we know they put pressure on you from the service line. They try to run a little bit faster offense, but they're just a team that's gritty. Purdue's always been a very gritty team. They're good defensively, passing. They're that. You think of the Indiana-style volleyball and the clubs that come out of that, and they're the gritty teams that are just known for pass defense type, ball handling type volleyball. And Purdue really embodies that, and they're a team that is right there. They're that team that you battle with every year, that is right on the verge of really making a big step into the top 5. And so they have the talent to do so. And they've always tested us, and we know they'll be ready to play us. They're always excited to play Nebraska, and so we'll have our hands full and have to really use this week to get prepared for what we're going to face against them.
And then you turn right around, and this is the first of multiple back-to-backs that the Huskers are going to have moving forward in Big Ten play. So you have Friday night, and then Saturday you turn right around and play Rutgers. How do you guys want to see this team handle just the quick turnaround and being ready to play in that back-to-back?
Yeah, we have to be able to see that we can make adjustments quickly. Sometimes when you play back-to-back like that, like I said, lineups can change due to performances from the night before, or just bodies being worn down depending on how the match went. And so you got to be able to come back and respond emotionally and physically, and really go back to the basics of what we're about: serve and pass, and putting pressure on the opponents defensively. So it's a quick turnaround. You have an opportunity to face one team, but then once that match is over, you got to clear your mind and really get focused on the next team. And a lot of times what we face, you don't see a team that has similar tendencies back to back. That's kind of the uniqueness about the Big Ten. There's not a lot. You can't prepare for Purdue the way you prepare for Rutgers, because they run different offenses, they have different styles. So it's not like in football, that these two teams are run games and you're just preparing for a run game type offense. It's not really what exists in the Big Ten and volleyball, because of the physicality of the players that we're facing and just how talented these teams are. I mean, it's a battle every night. So that can really take a toll mentally on players. So stressing recovery after the Friday night match, make sure they're getting back home, taking care of themselves, recovering, so they can come back and perform Saturday at another high level.
Great stuff, as always, and best of luck to you guys coming up this weekend.
Thank you, Jessica.
And that is Lindsay Peterson here with us on The Dig. Emeritus is proud to power The Dig and all of Husker women's sports. As always, make sure you subscribe and like wherever you listen to never miss an episode right here on the Huskers Radio Network podcast.